changed a good bit. So if you're just joining us for the first time since last month, some new maps are going to be showing here. Dry season going to be our first 45% to 55% at home. I'm actually a little surprised there's not more people writing on Team Flash. Maybe the people know something that we don't already, but I'm feeling pretty safe about Team Flash at this moment.
Yeah, those predictions are having me second guess myself just a little bit, but we have seen Team Flash, they're more than just a flash in the pan, right? They've had consistency over the last several months. They very much pulled this one out again, and I put my prediction on the line for these guys too. However, we will see the first pick head over the way of Rising Sun SEA. Keep in mind some of these bans on Dry Season. We've also seen RT banned out on the side of Team Flash. I think a very important one considering that this brawler is still super, super strong and almost has no counters.
Despite a little bit of a nerf, I do agree from what I've seen from scrims and talking with some pro players across multiple regions, it really feels like RT is going to be the same here, not going to be showing up very much. A very big staple in the Brawl Stars meta right now, be the 1.1 in this draft. The response from Flash immediately picking up Sprout, which should be a great option to try and counter that sharpshooter.
Yes, they've gotten rid of Tick from the get-go. Also, Meg selection here, very important one to call out. Definitely a difficult brawler to deal with at the moment. If you've played any Showdown, I have mercy on you. I'm so sorry that you had to endure that because she is just about everywhere and she's just that strong. Let's talk about that Sprout pick though. Usually we don't see it too early on. Usually more of a last pick, which Team Flash absolutely had at their disposal. They decided to go for it for their second or third pick, which I think is a good reaction to the B. It just could get countered really, really hard. So Rising Sun are going to have to think about how precisely they decide to deal with this. Bonnie is their choice.
Yeah, and of course with Meg's rework as well, very different brawler than what we used to see, and it's going to throw a lot of teams off, I imagine. We've only had a few days in this current meta on these new maps as well, very new. There's a lot going down right here, a lot that these players are going to have to juggle, and definitely in the past, Meg would not be somebody that shows up in Dry Season, so it's really interesting to me to see this control brawler, somebody that goes in a hot zone a lot of the time, now show up here in something like Bounty. Pretty wild to watch. Bonnie, of course, a great response too, though.
Grum, final selection from Rising Sun. I think this is a great reaction also to that Sprout. Gonna need a thrower in order to deal with that, especially considering the lack of wall break really available here in those indestructible walls. However, last selection from Team Flash could open things up just a bit if they want. Might want to consider some sharpshooter options here, but also need to think about what's going to work in close range. You might have Bonnie jumping on top of you. If you can effectively keep her out of range, then it's a completely different story. She'll just never, ever get that super. Keep in mind, also, I think we should really note that Bounty's changed a little bit. Carl, final selection from Team Flash, but I think the bounty changes are going to have a significant impact here. Going to be a bit more conservative, try not to cross that 20-star threshold.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Even the mode itself has had a little bit of a change up. So there's so much newness, a great refresh coming into this month, and it's giving me another opportunity. And one of the reasons I love Brawl Stars, it's constantly evolving. There's always something different happening, whether it's balance changes, a ton of maps getting cycled in and out for this third month as well. I think it's really going to test our pro players, really make them work for it a little bit. They've had limited time to practice all of this. I think a Carl pick here, though, is a little interesting. I think that's going to be a great aggressor to go against somebody like Grum, a very squishy brawler. And we're going to have to see how it all goes down. Kicking off our grand finals here in SEA. Jay picking up that blue star instantly. 1 of 20 instantly acquired.
And it already sort of shifts the momentum of this match. It means that Team Flash are going to get to play defense if they so desire. And that timer is ticking down. Rising Sun SEA need to look for that first bit of aggression. They are going to be pushing in quite aggressively on the right side. Bear taking the brunt of that damage. Troy now shifting over to that left side to try and deal with Hiroshi. It's a good switch so far, but no carnage just yet.
Troy with low HP here, backing up as the B. Meow standing on this left-hand side, trying to contest the very heavy-hitting Meg in her monster truck. Response with the wall available as well. They want to try and craft this map however they like. Bear trying to step up right-hand side, even at the arm's distance of a thrower, doing a great job of dodging this out and using these walls to Team Flash's advantage.
Rising Sun really trying to look for any aggression that they can, but it doesn't really seem like they have any openings. Meow might be able to get a jump in if he farms up that super. Hiroshi does give him a hit over here on the left side. It's going to be a pretty drawn-out game for Rising Sun if they get any significant supers in here, just to get that very first kill for their side. As we're already dipping below 45 seconds left on the clock, it's drive time for Rising Sun SEA.
They're going to have to move quickly here as well. No kills acquired quite yet. Only one on the board so far. And Hiroshi able to just hang out in this mega mech right now, popping a gadget, now trying to heal out. Troy looking for shots. Bear might be pitched here as well. Getting really aggressive response, looking for shots. There goes a wall as well. Jay looking for the cleanup. 3 red players still standing. Ultimately ending in 10 stars and low HP for Jay. They're going to have to act fast as this countdown is beginning.
Ouch. Psychological warfare already coming out with 2 banana sprays and another spray there on the right side. Protesto out as well as Team Flash really wiping the floor in the final few seconds. Rising Sun doing whatever they can to get that last bit of damage in, but it's no use. They're just too far behind. It's going to be game.
It's common amongst the pros that I've talked to. Somebody that they're testing out, they feel is a little bit stronger to say the least, and certainly could be entering band stages, high play rate. The SCA certainly seems to be the starting point for that response. Also a major factor for me in game number 1. Those walls super well for defense. Jay once again picking up this blue star. It's what Carl can do so well.
Carl's going to have to be the main one accelerating any kind of offense or any kind of bounce back for Team Flash if they find themselves getting behind. But we already observed throughout the majority of last game that they stayed in the lead very consistently, a good cut above Rising Sun SEA. But we'll see some different strategies approached from Rising Sun SEA. Of course, that first one on the right side not going to go well. Troy going down in the process. Team Flash just continuing to grow this lead as they seem to have a response for any kind of aggression from the other side. Bit of an aggressive move in from X9J. Does end up paying the prize with his life. And another jump in from Meow on the right side. Great kill, but won't quite be able to make it out. Rising Sun SEA still just a bit behind Team Flash.
And just with so much damage being able to done with that swipe, I mean, Meg can clean things up so easily, especially if Bonnie dives out of that Clyde form, goes into that more Leon-esque type shot. And it's just going to be really tough to clean up multiple brawlers there. Great response there from Team Flash as Rising Sun still looks to claw their way back in this one, blocking Troy for now on this right-hand side. It's one of the things that does so well into these single sharpshooters. They can't get over these walls. Bear really their only hope for that. Simple dodge there from Jay. Make sure that Bear doesn't make any connections. Team Flash just hunkering down right now.
They've really outdone themselves this time with the comp because there just doesn't seem to be any counterplay once Response gets that wall up, and there's no wall break available to Rising Sun SEA. Here comes the wall around the left side. Troy going to take a lot of damage, though does get that last bit of damage tanked by Bear. All-out aggression from Rising Sun SEA, but Team Flash are just so safe and sound back in this bunker near their spawn. Meow goes down. Troy is the last one who can do really much of anything. Bear still trying to come to the rescue, but won't be able to hit that final shot. Hiroshi safe and sound once again.
Simply got outplayed here. I think there's still room for opportunity, though, as we approach field goal. This is still a really solid team that's made 2 grand finals back-to-back. Sure, Team Flash have been solid, but 45% of our people at home believed in Rising Sun, so I believe there's something there.
I mean, it's a pretty even split. If we got predictions later on during the match, too, I wonder how exactly that would change. After that performance in set number 1, I would say hopes are riding pretty high for Team Flash. Let's check out some of the brawlers that have decided to ban out. Rising Sun getting rid of that Meg, most notably. I think that's an absolutely great call. Also getting rid of B, who's just about one of the best brawlers on this map, period. This is, once again, another addition to the competitive map pool. It's a very, very long-ranged Brawl Ball map when you consider all the other maps that are also in rotation. Colonel Ruff's selection from Team Flash gives them a bit of versatility if they want to get some wall breakout, and also gives them immunity to some important brawlers that are single target. Note that Penny has been banned on the side of Rising Sun SEA, so that's not an option for them to retaliate.
Yeah, it's a really interesting map. In the mid, you kind of get these long-range or mid-range brawlers, but on the left and right-hand lanes where these indestructible walls are, you get pesky brawlers like Sandy who can be solid lane options. I've even seen some crazy ones in scrims right now. El Primo showing up on this map, BB showing up on this map. A lot of fun could be had. Nita, somebody that really could do well into some of those tankier brawlers as well. I'm curious to see what these guys end up selecting for game day, though. It looks like they're going with a very safe pick. Rising Sun SEA selecting Otis. Can never really go wrong. I call him the Swiss Army knife of Brawl Stars at this point. He does well in the tanks, solid DPS, a good amount of HP, solid amount of range, you know, the fat splatter gadget. There's just a lot that this guy can bring to the table.
He's sort of a one-size-fits-all, and in this specific instance, his Fat Splatter can be very useful for taking down some of those sandbags. It also makes him a bit more defensive versus any tanks that Team Flash might want to go for, and considering their track record of already picking up the thrower quite early on, I cannot shame them at all for gearing up for a defense already. Bear now going with the Bear Summoner on the left side, and we'll also see this be one of their more viable options for dealing with tanks. If Team Flash decide not to go for any tanks at all, unfortunately, Nita's going to kind of be dead in the water, honestly.
Yeah, this will be really interesting. If they don't really go with a tanky route, Bear might not have the easiest playing his namesake brawler here, as Nita's typically going to do well in some of those sharp shooters. What I'm cautiously, kind of waiting to see what happens. That's a pretty crazy one. I mean, that was definitely somebody on my mind after you see the Barley ban, but I'm very happy we get to see it in practice. Mr. Dynamite, welcome to the stage. Very excited to see what these fellas can do with him.
I sort of wonder whether we'll see Rising Sun SEA go for like a Sprout or something. You could use that pretty effectively to get rid of the sandbags. You could also deal with the Dynamite. You don't have the greatest DPS, and the walls aren't going to do a whole lot for you on most of the lanes, but hey, it would still be a way to deal with the thrower. They have some options, though. They have plenty of time to decide, too, as the clock ticks down. Mortis is their selection. Hey, look, if your opponent's going to pick some crazy things, then sort of step up to their level seems to be the response from Rising Sun SEA. Unfortunately, though, Team Flash does have quite a bit of counterplay to this brawler, so I'm a bit apprehensive about this selection.
Man, this is going to be spicy. We got to see a little bit of Mortis in NA West last month, and it was a blast to watch. I can only imagine what it can do here. This is very untraditional, I will say, at least in the 3 brawlers on each side. No real mids. I think Lola is likely going to play the mid for Team Flash. I guess Otis might have to for Rising Sun SEA, as Nita simply doesn't have that range. Dynamite laning into a Mortis, not the most fun. I don't know how this one's going to go down. Very unorthodox drafts for both of these sides. As Team Flash ready to kick off set number 2 with the 1-0 lead.
We'll see Troya on the right side trying to make use of this Nita. Big slashes in from Bear, immediately going for Hiroshi. Great reaction and great team play around the right side. We might have seen Team Flash outdraft themselves just a little bit here, as within just 20 seconds, Rising Sun have already taken the first goal.
I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that. Mortis counters, Dynamite go crazy. Bear cycling in a super as well, going down and taking out Jay. Meow low HP kicks the ball forward, and now Bear going to be trying to juggle this ball and dodging enemy shots. Meow trying to assist on this left-hand side as Jay returns into action. Here he comes, but no damage really being dealt. Jay stays alive, breaking the walls open on this left-hand side, picking up a kill on Nita as well. Hiroshi now breaking away right-hand side as Bear is going to be forced to play some defense.
Well, here's a reaction from Team Flash now. They've sort of pushed up this line of scrimmage to the midfield and then try to do a bit more. Meow on the left side taking a bit of fire. Troya also trying to react to this ego play in. Still does get taken down. Bear looks to corner this ball. He's got to make sure that he gets in close with Hiroshi. Hiroshi now trying to get some kind of stun. Not going to hit Bear. He will manage to escape with his life for the time being. But Team Flash are starting to hammer down this pressure on the back right side. Trying to take down Troya in the process. Big back lines play from Bear and a takedown. Mortis is, I'll take it back, actually. Doing fairly well.
Yeah, I think it's just a really solid matchup into Dynamite. You're going to have to play it so well as a Dynamite to really work with that. And I think all 3 brawlers are really going to have to focus Bear here, as we see all 3 hurtling around him now as Bear is looking for an isolation play. Dodges the super. Meanwhile, Troy E on this left-hand side, dribbling that ball forward, getting it at that midfield mark as Bear continues to play his matchup. This time it's Hiroshi getting the window, a super going down, a pickup from Meow, 2v1 situation as Lola Egos falls. Meow going to be picking up this ball, trying to do their best to kick it away. And for now, they're going to hold off as Team Flash look to get a last-second goal here.
The defense is looking quite oppressive from Rising Sun, but Bear now going for the offense, trying to accelerate things to the other side of the field. They'll lose a couple of brawlers in the process, but now they really do have to gear up for a defense. Response, Hiroshi now ready for this. Response has that super. Might have to super it around. Now goes for the ego, blocking off some of that damage, still falling in the process. Hiroshi not going to be in position to pass that one in, and Rising Sun
can tie things up going into set 3, kicking off game number 2. Meow throwing a fat splatter in the mid here. Rocket Rain, right-hand side. Rising Sun immediately being pressured, but Bear trying to instigate some offense by grabbing that ball early.
Well, he's facing quite a bit of fire down the left side already, but Hiroshi struggling to hit these shots. It's not really a good lane for him, even on defense. Bear seems to have that appropriate response. Now trying to get away, even going for that stun, but it's not going to come true. X9J now falls, and Troy and Meow get to work this ball up the left side. Response and Hiroshi with the appropriate counterplay. Bear now closing in around the right side, waiting for that perfect moment. Bit of wall break also from X9J, but it's not going to quite be enough to shut things down effectively. Nice one right down the middle from Meow. And Rising Sun SEA start off this game with yet another goal.
Great patience and coordination coming in from Rising Sun SCA. Bear off to the races once again. Cycling one super goes down. It's a trade though. Jay trying to hold back Bruce the Bear for now. Shield going up from Troye as he's trying to keep it alive a little longer. They're forced to use so many resources on Mortis. I think it's a reason this composition has thrived so far. Team Flash still kind of waiting for that first real push at offense as it's been Rising Sun in the driver's seat for most of this set.
The sheer mobility that Mortis has so much influence over how this team gets to play. Bear now going to pick up that ball seemingly unwillingly. Looks like he wanted to more get on top of Hiroshi on the right side. Thankfully, though, for Team Flash, they're able to fend off this offense. Now starting to hammer things in. Bear once again. Look how Hiroshi completely has to shift gears, and Response also has to respond as well, just to Bear respawning with that bubble shield. It's going to enable Rising Sun SEA to push out of their spawn, and the consistent respawning of Bear pretty much prevents Team Flash from going for a goal effectively.
Low HP for Meow here. Troye being backed up on this left-hand side. Bear back in action. Now Response gets the quick takedown. Jay, super in hand, hits it right at Meow, pocketing that ball for now. It's going to be left to Bruce the Bear and Nita. Nita getting tagged up, but Bruce keeping her alive and well. Another super being dodged by Nita as well. Bear doing his best to avoid all the action. Team Flash need to find an opportunity and fast, but it's Rising Sun with control of the ball.
15-second countdown coming in hot. Response and Hiroshi trying to get rid of Troye on the defense. Hiroshi's really trying to put himself in a position to defend, but it's not even possible. The lag walk all the way to the enemy spawn. Bit of action here with the Super 2. It is a win for Rising Sun SEA within set numbers. I mean, we're going to a set 4 guaranteed. I think a lot of the pace of this match is going to be dictated by, well, what sort of maps we see and what sort of brawlers are viable here. Is that unrelenting aggression a viable option? On Heist, it's absolutely viable, and in a lot of ways, it's the favored strategy, but we're headed into Kaboom Canyon, which we haven't had a taste of in a little while, so it's good to be back. Good to see some of the more viable brawlers here, and some of those actually getting banned out. Crow, very first selection from Rising Sun. Absolutely, hands down, one of the best brawlers on this map. You get good visibility inside of those bushes. You can deny pushes with the use of your gadget. RT reaction from Team Flash makes complete sense. A brawler with basically 0 counters.
Yeah, RT's still arguably the best brawler in the game despite the nerf that he recently acquired. I think he's going to be everywhere throughout the weekend across the world, whether it's the ban stage, the play stage. They pair this with Lola as well, a high DPS brawler, of course, especially when she drops that ego. We'll notice that Meg's in the ban stage as well, something we're not used to seeing. Amber with a little bit of a recent rework as well. And the Cinch gadget got a little bit edited there. So I think Amber is certainly an interesting one to watch this weekend. With all the grass in this map too, the long range, I think it makes a lot of sense they would try and take this brawler out.
Well, now 8-bit selection from Rising Sun. We know just how valuable 8-bit, Amber can be playing into 8-bit, so they've enabled themselves this gameplay in a few ways, but still, this is a very difficult brawler to move up the field. You have to get rid of some of those walls if you want the easiest path to the other side, but at the same time, you need some kind of terrain to hide that turret behind. Otherwise, it's going to go to the wayside really, really quickly. One more selection for Rising Sun SEA to accent the Crow and the 8-bit. If they want to take away one of the counters to 8-bit, that would be very, very valuable. Carl is their selection here, and I think this is just an all-around good brawler. Doesn't really blow me away, doesn't really point towards any particular counters or counterplay on the side of Rising Sun SEA.
Yeah, it could be an opportunity to try and pierce through that Lola ego, I think, and maybe even if Jay gets a super down, detaches his head from his legs, it could also work out too. That's a very niche situation, though, like you're saying. I think Carl's just a solid brawler in general, which is probably a lot of the love for that. Penny, however, is going to be able to apply some pressure with that turret, of course, piercing shots of her own, and the Salty Barrel can do damage very quickly if a Crow managed to jump on her. I think that makes a lot of sense for me, too. 6 pretty common brawlers, I would say, that we're used to seeing on maps like this, in situations like this. It's going to be all about the play style for me here. 1-1, Team Flash really dominant in our first set. Rising Sun SEA very dominant in the second. I really don't know what's going to happen here. Obviously, we had Team Flash coming into this as heavy favorites, but right now, it certainly doesn't feel that way.
We saw a good reaction from Rising Sun SEA in the last set, but I really do think Team Flash has this one. I know it's quite early to call it, but it just looks like their draft is so much more directed in Rising Sun SEA. I think the thing that sticks out to me like a sore thumb is Meow over here on that 8-bit lane. He doesn't really have anything to help him accelerate up the enemy side, and I think that's going to be a big drawback for Rising Sun. However, it's going to be quite difficult for Team Flash to push into mid, considering that Bear on this Crow has so much influence over the mid area. X9J trying to line up these shots, but Troy and Meow get to take some easy pot shots from secluded areas on the map. Hiroshi also facing a lot of opposition on that right side. A reaction from Troy does start to accelerate things for Rising Sun too, as they now connect with the safe.
Troy, brawler to watch right now, popping off on that top-hand side. Great positioning, great aggression, finally falling to the 2v1 situation. 8-bit getting all set up now, and all they really need to do is make sure they're constantly cycling 8-bit and Carl onto that safe. They deal a ton of damage if given the opportunity. Of course, on the other side, we have brawlers like Lola who can dish out a lot, but RT, Penny are going to have to get very close to that high safe if they want to really do any serious damage. Right now, complete control for Rising Sun on this leaderboard.
Team Flash are starting to push things back. Here comes the Eagle on the left side. Troy now going for the super, dodging out a lot of the damage, and looked like he wanted to go for a bit of aggression there, but took a lot of damage in the process. Still, though, response staying up on this left side. We also see Hiroshi throwing down the turret on the right, which does a good job of keeping Bear back. Meow also focused down on mid. Not quite taken down, but he's pushed back enough for some control to be taken by Team Flash. Just like you said, Kenny, Salty Barrel popped down Hiroshi with the destruction. And Team Flash need to start theorizing about how precisely they'll get this damage on the safe, because they have the positioning, but they don't have a whole lot of time to get below that 58% mark.
Lola going to be a key role here as well with that. Ego being popped, the shield going down instantly, though. Hiroshi looking for an aggressive turn, and this is going to be Bear trying it to play defense. Does have options, could pop a gadget if he wants. I'm sure looking for more value, and already cycling another turret here. 84%, they're drawing it close here. Lola dishing out some serious heat right now as the Penny turret rains down as well. 59%, and now they've taken a lead with 13 seconds to go. Troy and teammates need to act quickly. Low HP does manage to survive, though. Pops the super as well. Wow. 7 seconds to go is cycling the tailspin on that high safe. Looking for a few bounce shots back and forth. It's anyone's game, but 41%.
Set, or rather game number 1 of Heist, blasting right into game number 2. And we'll see Troy immediately go for that positioning at mid. Bear trying to flank around the left side to accent it. But wow, great coordinated team play from Team Flash to already drive Carl out of the bushes, now facing their attention on Bear, getting slowed a little bit in the process, but not too much for them to deal with, as they have now set up residence inside of these bushes at mid.
Team Flash finding their footing early here. Going to be left to Rising Sun to respond. Hiroshi playing this right-hand lane against Meow. Jay being forced right as well. Getting together with his teammates, making these bushes their home. Meow finally getting a takedown for Rising Sun as well. Jay with an opportunity with his super if he wants to get really aggressive, but he's going to have to find his way on to that high safe. Penny turret going to be very crucial. Could do so well into 8-bit. The slow arcade machine doesn't love when there's incendiary hitting the ground because he's very difficult to dodge with. A jump in now from Bear 2. Response cleans it up quickly. Team Flash in control of this map.
Oh, they've got it locked down, especially with that turret on the right side, but Hiroshi doesn't have another one ready in case this one on the right gets taken down. Meow faces a lot of opposition so far. Could get taken down by the turret. Not quite, but he's consistently forced back. Mistakenly missteps inside of that fire on the right, and there's a little banana spray down too, just to remind him that's exactly what happened. Rising Sun SEA doesn't really look, there's a whole lot of future in sight for these guys pushing up as they fall 1 by 1, consistently facing a 2v3 and potentially a 3v2 once again, as Meow is very close to falling. There he goes, and Team Flash continue their domination of this map.
This is really tough. Ever since the beginning of this game number 2 where they took down Carl early, they've just been in a deficit in terms of players. It's really Team Flash just owning control. They haven't really had to apply too much pressure on the high safe. They've just been looking for kills. Immediate takedown as Bear tries to jump in. Jay entering a different form as well. Teleports back down. Hiroshi with some shots as well. A takedown on the Carl. Domination right now in game number 2 for Team Flash. Only 30 seconds to go. Otherwise, Rising Sun SEA are facing a similar fate as previous months.
Doesn't look like enough time for Rising Sun SEA. They're trying to make it work, though. Bear has a super. Here comes the Hail Mary play, but response is already with the opposition. Troy on the left side also facing so much damage from that Ego. Couldn't take it down in time. Just 10 seconds left, but their fate's already sealed. There's no way for Rising Sun SEA to bring it back from here. Not within set number 3. It's gonna be headed over the way of Team Flash.
deploying and seeing these animated players come through, I never mind a little bit of a touchdown dance already. I'll be honest with you. Crystal Arcade, our next map here, 2-1 in Team Flash's favor. Rising Sun currently facing a deficit. It's going to be a tough one here, but still an opportunity to show what they've got once again.
And an opportunity to show what they've been working on, really, not just over the last month, but over the last several months, because this is the first map that we've seen in this rotation that is a part of the map pool before this last month's changes. So we'll see some of the more traditional stuff making an appearance here, and some of the brawlers not making an appearance. Also, some of the newer brawlers that have been thrust to the forefront of the meta right now. We see, of course, Meg, Amber, both being banned out. Penny selection from Team Flash. Can't argue with that. They already went with it in the last set. It worked out great, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, keep it simple. Penny, going to be a solid pick just about anywhere, and I don't see that being an exception here on Crystal Arcade. We saw what that turret could really do for Team The Flash in Heist, and it can definitely apply some pressure on Crystal Arcade. 8-bit, of course, a viable option on this map as well, so that is a little coverage for that. Like I said, sometimes those incendiary shots are really tough for him to dodge. He also sets up his turret to boost him, so just another target for the Penny turret to kind of aim at. Jean, of course, going to be a staple on this map and in this mode in general. The Salty Barrel, though, can prevent Jean from hitting some of those pivotal pulls, though, so I'm going to be looking out for that interaction as well, but I can't really blame them. Jean is a solid brawler, but Penny is certainly an opportunity here to shine.
Totally. I think that Jean does pose some of the risks, like you mentioned, where he can get countered out quite effectively by just about anything that throws down a turret, and there are a lot of viable options to do that. Not just Penny over here, but also something like Janet, which could very much make an appearance on one of these lanes. Still have to consider what exactly is Team Flash going to be going for with their mid. Penny is an option. There are some other options that they could go for. Bo is definitely a more popular option. We'll see Bear actually pick up the spike just a moment ago, and this is, once again, a fairly good, consistent brawler, but at this level of play, players are pretty good at dodging out some of those curveballs, so it can be a bit less effective at the highest echelons of play. Love to see the B coming out. That's absolutely got to be their mid, and a Squeak selection just to deny some of the anti-turret play that could pose some risks when you're playing Penny.
Yeah, I think that's a great pickup for them, and a good point that you make as well. No honey molasses pots, no Penny turrets are really going to have to worry about Squeak at this point. And also it does really well into that life plant as well, something that Spike is definitely known for. Penny has a piercing shot into that Spike life plant as well, so they have definitely a couple options in that situation. B really the only one that'll struggle with that Spike gadget. Final pick going to be Buzz, a little spice being introduced with this final pick here. I like it. It's a little bold. The other team has picked B, which traditionally is a tank counter, but Buzz could thrive against somebody like Squeak. I think that's a favorable matchup if Meow can play this right. Really excited to see what Buzz can do here.
This could be history repeating itself in a way that benefits Rising Sun SEA, because we saw them run the Mortis counter pick in Brawl Ball when Team Flash went for something very control-oriented. And even though Team Flash were able to pump out some good, consistent DPS with their brawler selections, they just weren't able to shut things down in close range. There was no knockback. We'll see X9J on that Penny. Probably going to start thinking about running that knockback star power now that allows him to get some knockback when he throws down his turret, but still have to place it in a safe position. Bear on the left side, getting immediately focused down by Response, and X9J doesn't really look like he has that much room to hide. And Troye is going to take advantage of this already, picking up a few gems, getting some supercharge off of it, but a 3v2 is a 3v2. It's not an optimal scenario for Rising Sun right now.
Yeah, as the result of Buzz getting really aggressive, sure, X9J and Response had to kind of deal with Buzz, but they were still able to pick up a couple gems, gain map control. Now Troy under some heavy fire. Bear being forced away as well. Hiroshi approaching this right-hand side. It's going to be Meow taking down connection on the Bear, who's just holding on to this super, looking for opportunities. It's got to be a big pull here. Nicely done as well. That'll help the cause. Now opening up the map here too. Bear doesn't really make the connection they're looking out for, though, and even if they were, Jay was ready with that Salty Barrel. Teammates there to help. Response, quick cleanup. Bit
of aggression there on the right side. A reduction in enemy force is going to be useful for Rising Sun SEA as they now continue to compound this lead. 7 gems on their side, a 3-gem advantage. Response still trying to fire things down without the bushes to hide in on the right side. It's going to be a bit more difficult for Troye, but Bear now grappling it on the right side. Looks to be in a good position, dodging out the damage from Response, and a takedown onto that turret. Missed pull just a moment ago from Troye, not going to hit Response. Didn't see him throw down the Honey Molasses either, surprisingly. He is quite vulnerable over here. here. X9J also pushing up that right-hand side. If Bear gets a good grapple in here, he can completely change the tides of the match, but big fumble. Now all these gems toppling to the floor and not a quick enough reaction from Rising Sun SEA.
Perfect placement of the Salty Barrel as well. Meow, low HP. Troye without a pull in hand. Response with a connecting shot, looking for one more. Super going down. Desperation Gadget not connecting. Meow now throwing up shots right-hand side. Very low HP. Bear tries to get within striking distance, but can't quite grapple his way up.
A lot of Brawl Stars, especially when we talk in the competitive scene, when we talk esports, revolves around 1v1s on those lanes, and Bear's going to hit the jackpot over here already. Getting Squeak on his matchup. Bit of assistance from Response on the left side, as he also looks to get some pot shots with a honey pot thrown down in tandem. Hiroshi also trying to slow things down. Great grapple from Bear. Looks like he'll not be able to escape, unfortunately, as he's shut down the left side. But Rising Sun SEA does get to walk away with 3 gems from this initial reaction.
Bear certainly made it worth his while, really executing on those dodges so well. Now a pickup on this right-hand side for Meow, and things looking back up for Rising Sun SEA. They arguably could have won that first game, but of course a pivotal takedown is sometime all it takes in this game mode. Here could be another one as well. Jay, it's raiding out there as Bear cleans things up, does pick up 4 of these gems, doesn't elect to pick up that 5th, now going for it. You have to be really careful when your most aggressive brawler is also your gem carrier. This is going to change the way that Bear approaches this match now.
He's going to have to be incredibly choosy about what sort of matchup he decides to go for. X9J on the left side also trying to shut him down. Bit of a missed grapple. Now he's got to think about how he's going to get himself out of this position. Meanwhile, on the right side, Meow not in the optimal matchup. Will be able to get some good damage done on Hiroshi, but still falls at the end of all of that. Bear taking a ton of damage, and all these gems toppling to the ground is actually a good situation for Rising Sun. They're in a pretty safe position. Bear has no choice but to pick up 2 as he respawns, but still can get more aggressive than he was previously. Response just needs 1 more gem. Trey, no pull in sight. Bear, no stun in sight. Just this next gem for Response will kick off that countdown for Team Flash.
Oh, and a huge pickup on this right-hand side. Hiroshi getting a takedown there. Response getting pulled, though. Needs to be careful. Immediate shot going down, though. Bear will be activating the gadget just outside of striking distance. Another missed gadget in Super from Rising Sun SEA, which means Team Flash, another back-to-back make it back. Grand Finals champions, 3 in a row for our heroes right now.
Finishing off that undefeated run in the first half of the year, pre-break is a phenomenal way to close out this chapter. Rising Sun, of course, unenthused, but they did get a single set victory off of the guys and had some good ideas laid out there. Some very near